Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Tuesday, the 6th of May. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay, looking at ES, we're seeing a bit of a retracement today, and this follows in from what I was saying yesterday, which was I wanted to see a retracement that showed up on the daily RSI 5 on the it's the end of the day, and we're seeing that retracement now. Now it doesn't necessarily need to go back and retest the high, but I'm still leaning towards that happening. We will see. NQ, we've been seeing the same retracement. Both of them have broken their short-term support trend lines, and actually this is good too, because I'd like to see a move down from here, then a retest of the high, and then a fail. Looking at NQ, the same. RTY, this is actually testing the main support trend line here, and this flag, of course, looks fairly fully formed on YM. Sorry, not RTY. On YM, I don't have an obvious resistance trend line here, but obviously I do on Dire. We haven't broken the support trend line here, but all of these are decent looking little retracements. We're slightly below the weekly pivot on ES, on NQ, on RTY. But we're still holding it slightly above on YM. DAX is where it gets really interesting, because actually we went back overnight and we tested the main support trend line, and we got a really nice resistance trend line here. It's a peach. Now this, I've been talking about a retest of the high here. Now the retest of the high would be at... All right, that would be in about the 23,741 area. You can see it is not far away. I'm thinking on the next high that we go back and do it. I'm thinking that we may well see a turn back up here on ES. Do we have a 15-minute buy signal? Well, we had a 15-minute buy signal, but it's already made target. Do we have a 5-minute buy signal? Waiting to see. Yes, last one made target, and we've got no. We don't have one at the moment, but I am thinking that we may well see a reversal back up here. We could go lower, but in terms of the decline that I was looking for, the one that registered on the daily chart on the RSI 5 that could give us divergence, we've seen that already. So I am leaning towards a reversal back up pretty shortly, then a retest of the high. And what I'm watching in terms of a turn is FOMC. Now we've got that tomorrow and Thursday, and given that we've got such a large potential trigger event at a time where I'm thinking we may well be making a short-term high, well, that's something that we'll talk about. So we shall see. All right. Sorry, guys. I should have sent out the email earlier, or mentioned it in the video yesterday. I think I assume you're late because I sent out the links by email for the first time. Don't worry. I'll cover everything at the end. But actually, just for a quick recap. Hang on 1 second. Right, just for a quick recap, ES, we've seen the retracement that I was hoping that would show up on the RSI 5. So really, I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of the high, and that could be at any time. This looks like a bull flag forming here. If it went much lower, it'd stop looking like a bull flag. Although it's that wouldn't invalidate a test of the highs, but I don't want to see it go an awful lot lower than this. We've already broken the short-term support trend lines on EF and Q. We're testing the main support trend line on RTY here. I'm quite liking it higher directly from here. I don't have any strong signal support for that, though. We already had a 15-minute buy signal that already made the possible near-miss target. Looking at DAX, we've got a lovely, lovely rising wedge here. Beautiful touch of the rising support. I think this is the pattern on DAX, and I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this high, and I've got the retest of the high at, I'll just repeat that, in the 23,733 area. And you can see we are very close. And that would be a good thing to see at the same time that we see the flags top out on the others. Do we have to see the flags top out? Nope, we'd never have to see anything play out. But got to say, in terms of what I was looking to see whether basically the tariffs were going to be heavily modified or dropped, or there would be a reason to believe that the tariffs weren't going to be going ahead. And at the moment, all the rhetoric is that yes, tariffs are awesome and we should add more. So I'm not really seeing any reason to think that these aren't bear flags and that we're not going to make some lower lows. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm still liking these as bear flags. And in terms of the economic background and political background, I'm still seeing everything that we were seeing before. So we will see. Obviously, there's some recency bias. People, look at it and think, oh, well, market's going up, everything's back to normal. I don't think everything's back to normal. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. All right, great. In terms of the 200 DMA, on SPX, I've got that now at 57.46, so it hasn't moved. I'm still thinking we've got a pretty good chance of testing that. And I like that. And we are not far above. It's slightly obscured by the by this little bubble here, but it is not far above. On the setup here, I've now got the flag resistance up in the 57.40 area, but really this is becoming a very good match with the 200 DMA. And I think that's where the rubber meets the road here. Now, we don't actually have to make it, but I would be surprised to see this turn without making this trend line. We've got very close to it, and it's a magnetic target at this stage. On the Qs, we've seen a bit of a retrace there too, not quite as much as we've seen on SPX. There is a case for this retracement going a bit lower and lasting into the end of today. We will see how that goes. We're already testing the 200 DMA on that. In terms of the setup here on the 15-minute chart, obviously we've already tested and overthrown this trend line, but we haven't tested it on IWM or SPX. I'm expecting at least SPX to do that. Could I be mistaken? Absolutely. That's looking at Dyer. Dyer, we have. Hang on 1 second. I need to change the chart on this really, but yeah, we're testing the 50 DMA already. Sorry, I've got dotted lines for the moving averages, which I normally have as solid lines, so it's confusing me slightly. We could see a little higher to take the 200 DMA. I've got that at 419.85, so that is not an insignificant amount higher. I'm a bit doubtful about going that far, but maybe. Dyer is currently outperforming, so maybe. In the meantime, we've reached the obvious trend line there, and we have overthrown that slightly as well. All right, let's have a look at IWM. IWM, we have got a nice little move up here in terms of we're currently at 198.94, so we're basically testing the 50 DMA now. 200 DMA is at 215.87 on. Frankly, I'm really not expecting to see that tested, although there is quite an attractive target because obviously declining resistance from the high, which in this case was in November last year, of course, not like the others in January. February rather. It's but I think, am I expecting to see that? No. And if we did see that, it'd probably mean that ES and NQ were retesting the highs as we did that. In terms of the hourly chart, nothing to see. In terms of the 15-minute chart, this is the main trend line I'm watching, and I've got that at 204. Do we have to reach it? No. Could this be a bearish overthrow? Just about. But we still haven't made that resistance on that SPX chart, and I was really expecting to see that. We don't have to, but normally I'm expecting to. So I'm still leaning towards what I was talking about yesterday, which is this retracement, which we are currently in progress on, then a retest on negative divergence, and then we see whether the top of the flag is here. In terms of whether it is, gotta say, this is the highest SPX ADP reading that we've seen in the last 2 years. It's not the highest one ever, but the last one we had was in 2020. I'm going to work up some more stats on this, but you can see we do tend to make highs here. If you look at where I put the red lines here, nice high there, potential high here. We were slowing down a bit, and then we got onto a high, a few weeks later here. It's so it doesn't mean that we see a hard reversal all the time, but we do at the least tend to go more into consolidation mode and things slow down when we see it. So at the very least, that's what I'm expecting. Could we see a full reversal? Very much so, and I still think there's a case for lower prices and beating the April low. Because I'm not seeing any of the underlying policy has changed. But I would say one thing here. In terms of negative, I think we're going to be looking at the 2 quarters are going to be negative, and they could be quite heavily negative, but it takes a while for these numbers to feed through. It takes a while for inflation numbers to come through. It takes a while for economic numbers to come through. It takes, growth numbers. I mean, these are things that, the main updates come quarterly. In terms of the market moves that we've seen, I mean, Liberation Day was a month ago, just over. Feels like longer, but it isn't. It's and it's going to take a while for the full damage that has been done to really feed through. I think we're going to be looking at 3-week courses of growth. They could all be negative, depending on how long this tariff insanity continues. And even if we went down to just his Trump's base case of 10%, that would still cause a lot of damage and might well give us 3 negative quarters. The much higher this trade war with China, it's it's a problem. And it's going to be the trade war with China, particularly with these huge levels, may actually just bankrupt a whole load of American businesses, small and medium-sized businesses over the next few months. That is the kind of thing which actually could put hundreds of thousands of people out of work. These things are still feeding through, but be aware the numbers take a while to feed through. All sorts of things can happen while they are feeding through. All right, great. Let's have a look at DX. Now, DX, we've got this IHS here. It looks like I'm forming a bull flag, but really just all the juice just came out of it. This has been very, very slow. And really, the way gold's behaving here, this might as well be going down again. And it may be that what we're watching here is the beginning of a fail. But we don't fail until we get below this IHS right shoulder, which is in about the 98.7 area. So at the moment, the IHS is still looking good, and we're still looking at a potential target in the 101.7 area. I am watching particularly the USD JPY chart. You can see we've got an IHS here, and you can see we are getting closer to the IHS right shoulder here. If we get below that, I'll be seeing that as a canary in the coal mine. Now, what have we got as canaries in the coal mine for equities? Well, we have DX, which is doing absolutely nothing. We've got ZB, where it looks as though the rally has finished. We've got a weak 60-minute buy signal that's fixed here. We can see a rally here. We might not be done to the downside. We could even see a retest this high. But in terms of this rally, it's broken rising support. This canary in the coal mine isn't dead, but it's looking unwell. Looking at CL, we almost made it back to the lows. This canary died. It's because this was basically something that was running in sympathy with equities as well. In terms of the gold chart, we're halfway back to the high. We've actually got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing now. But this I was thinking that gold would be, it was in sympathy with the equities rally, and this is halfway back to the high now. So I'm looking at these and thinking, how is this actually looking? And it's not looking great. HG, possible head and shoulders here. No, we haven't seen the hard fail yet, but it looks like it's setting up. All of these canaries are looking unwell. And if this is a bear flag forming, then we're close to the high. Could be in already, but I'm leaning towards one more heave. So we'll see how that goes. All right, looking at CL has got back pretty close to the lows. I just wanted to show you on something on ZB. I was talking about the possibility that we might go back and retest this high, and I would note that on the TNX chart, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. Now, that wouldn't necessarily get us anywhere close to a retest of this low, but it could get us there, and if we did, that would setting up a proportionate double bottom, or we could just be forming a larger flag. But I don't think that's what's happening here. I think we bottomed out and we're heading back to 45.92 and potentially a lot higher. We will see how that goes. All right, CL, we've almost made it back to the lows. We're rallying a bit. But in terms of the bigger picture chart, I just want to show you this one here. So bear with me a moment. Sorry, I hadn't opened this up in preparation. Let's do that now. All right, now here, I was looking at a channel here. We haven't made it back to support yet. And this includes the move from yesterday, which is slightly surprising because I thought the low on CL was actually down at, hang on, This was actually down at just over 55, so I'm a little surprised it hasn't reached that. Maybe it'll feed through tomorrow, or maybe there's something I'm missing. But I am wondering about a retest this low. But if we see a break below this channel here, this is what I'm seeing is potentially a real problem. All right, let's have a look at NG. NG, we've got a sell signal that's reached possible near miss target. We're seeing whether we're going to see a reversal back to the lows here. Not seeing an obvious pattern for that. GC, halfway back up to the highs, bit of negative divergence here, but at the moment it looks as though it may well go straight back to the highs. Silver, coming back into a retest of this high, I think. Palladium, breaking slightly over declining resistance. Platinum, this kind of looks like a top pattern forming, but I'm not really seeing anything clear. I wouldn't be surprised to see it retest this high and maybe get back towards this declining resistance currently in the 1008 area. HG, still looks like a head and shoulders forming on KC. KC, we're still in an inflection point here. Are we going to break down towards 345, or are we going to head back up into the high here at 418? Waiting for a decision. But if we get back up over the weekly pivot, that decision has been made, and we're likely heading back to the highs. On sugar, still a bit wary about this. We had a buy signal that's reached the possible near miss target, and wary about the potential yawning pattern target below. CC, still in the inflection point, deciding whether or not we are heading back into the retest of this low here or heading back up into the 11250 area. On ZW, I'm still wondering about a possible test of the 495 area, but we're seeing a nice little rally that could just be a bad flag for me. On corn, wondering about a retest of this low here in the 450 area. On soy, mostly formed head and shoulders here. Now, this head and shoulders wouldn't get us all the way back to the lows, but it could get us back up, back down to the 1000 to 1005 area. On CT, looks like a little more flag forming. I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this high in the 69.8 area next. Lumber is heading downwards. I've got a target in about the 560 area, I think. On live cattle, this is proceeding higher as I suggested it would. No current negative divergence, and lean hogs may be rejecting back up into a retest of this high in the 102 area. All right, great. We got any questions, guys? Hang on. Oh, George, don't worry. I'll send you an email out today. So don't worry, mate. It'll all be in there, mate. So fear not. But yeah, sorry. Or at the absolute latest tomorrow. But don't worry, it is not imminent. So don't worry about it. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap, guys. I'd better move on to my crypto webinar, which is starting in 2 minutes. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow.